Okay, so are you ready to dive into this one? The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Oh, absolutely. It's a classic for a reason.
It really is. I mean, so many people have told me this book was a game changer for them, in terms of productivity and just like their overall approach to life.
Totally. It's like Covey gives you this framework. It's not just like a bunch of tips and tricks. It's like, how do you actually think differently, and then how do you act differently?
Exactly. He doesn't just tell you what to do, he tells you why to do it. You walked us through some of the key ideas. And why don't we start with paradigms? Because that's where Covey starts. What exactly are paradigms and why do they matter so much?
Okay, so imagine you're looking at an image, right? And some people see an old woman, but other people, they see a young lady. Same picture. It all depends on how you're seeing it.
Wait, what? It's the same picture.
Yep, same exact image. But people see different things based on their, perception.
Yeah.
Their perspective.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like that optical illusion, the old woman, young lady one?
Exactly. That's a perfect example. It's like, whoa, how am I seeing this so differently than someone else?
Yeah, that one blows my mind every time. It makes you realize just how much our background or our experiences shape how we see the world.
Right. And that's what paradigms are. They're like these lenses we're looking through, but we often don't realize we have them on.
So are you saying these paradigms, these lenses, they can actually hold us back without us even knowing it?
Totally. Think about it. If our lens is kind of foggy, we're going to miss things, important things, and we won't even realize it.
It's kind of scary when you think about it.
It is. But the good news is once we're aware of them, we can start to clean that lens, We can start to see things more clearly.
So awareness is like the first step. Like before we even try to change anything, we need to understand what we're looking through.
Exactly. Covey says it's like the first step toward effectiveness because, how can you change what you don't even know is there?
That makes sense. It's like trying to fix a car without knowing what's under the hood.
Exactly. You got to pop the hood, see what's going on, and then you can actually start to, make some changes.
Okay, so we pop the hood. We're aware of our paradigms.
Mm-hmm.
What's next? How do we actually shift from those limiting beliefs to a more effective way of seeing the world?
Well, Covey talks about moving from dependence to interdependence. It's a journey.
Okay, a journey from dependence to interdependence. Break that down for me.
So we start as these dependent babies, right? Relying on others for everything.
Makes sense so far.
Then we grow up, we become more independent, we can make our own choices, do things for ourselves, the drill.
Been there, done that, got the I can do it myself t-shirt.
Yeah.
But it sounds like Covey is saying there's even more to it than that, right?
Exactly. Interdependence is that next level, we can do a lot on our own, but when we connect with others, collaborate, that's when we can truly thrive.
Okay, so interdependence is about recognizing that we can achieve more together than we ever could alone.
You got it. It's about understanding that we need each other. And it's not about being codependent. It's about leveraging everyone's strengths, working together towards something bigger.
So it's about finding that balance between independence and recognizing the power of collaboration and teamwork. But how does this idea of interdependence actually play out in our everyday lives? What does it look like to be interdependent at work, in our relationships, in the real world?
Great question. And that's where Covey brings in this brilliant concept of PPC balance. It's all about, think of it this way, it's like taking care of the goose that lays the golden eggs.
Okay, hold on. The goose and the golden eggs. Where'd that come from?
It's Covey's metaphor. So the golden eggs are like the results we want, right?
Yeah.
The production. But the goose, that's our ability to produce those results, our capacity.
Okay, I'm starting to see where you're going with this. So
Yes.
if we just focus on getting those golden eggs, those results, without thinking about the goose.
We're going to wear the poor goose out.
Exactly. We need to take care of the goose, nurture it so it can keep laying those golden eggs.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance, between getting things done and making sure we can keep getting things done in the long run.
So how do we actually do that? How do we balance that P, the production, with the PC, the production capability?
Well, it starts with recognizing that it's not either or, it's both and. We need to make time for both.
Easier said than done, right? Especially in today's world where it feels like everything is go, go, go.
Totally. But Covey would say that if we want to be truly effective, we have to make time for those things that enhance our ability to produce.
So that could be things like taking care of our health, learning new skills, even just taking a break to recharge.
Exactly. It's about investing in ourselves so we can bring our best selves to everything we do.
This is making me think about our last deep dive on that book about rest. It all ties together.
It totally does. Taking care of the goose is essential.
Okay, so we're taking care of the goose. We're seeing the world through these new, clearer lenses. Where do we go from here?
That's where habit 2 comes in. Begin with the end in mind. It's about vision, you know.
Okay, begin with the end in mind. That sounds pretty profound. What does Covey mean by that?
He's talking about having a clear picture of where you want to go in life, what you want to achieve, what kind of person you want to be, before you even start taking those first steps.
So it's like having a destination in mind before you start your journey.
Exactly. Think about it. If you're going on a road trip, you don't just hop in the car and start driving aimlessly, right?
Well, I mean, sometimes I do.
Right.
But I get what you're saying. It's better to have a plan.
Exactly. Having a clear destination helps you plan your route, pack the right things, and make sure you're heading in the right direction.
So how does this apply to, like, our lives, our goals, the bigger picture?
Covey has this powerful exercise. He says, imagine attending your own funeral.
Whoa. Okay. That got dark quick.
I know, it sounds a little morbid, but stay with me. He's saying, think about what you would want people to say about you. What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind?
Okay. Yeah, I see where you're going with that. It makes you think about what truly matters, what kind of impact you want to have on the world. It's about defining our values, right?
Exactly. When you begin with the end in mind, you're basically creating a blueprint for your life based on your values and what you want to accomplish.
It's like, this is the North Star I'm going to use to guide my decisions and actions.
Exactly. And that makes it easier to say yes to the things that align with that vision and no to the things that don't.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But it can still feel overwhelming, right? Like I have this grand vision for my life, but then there's all these little things, everyday tasks and decisions. How do we bridge that gap?
That's where habit 3 comes in. Put first things first. It's all about execution.
Okay, so we've got the vision, the blueprint. Now we need to actually start building, right? But how do we know what to prioritize? What are those first things we should be focusing on?
Covey talks about the importance of focusing on what's important, not just what's urgent.
Oh, right. I've heard of this. It's like that time management matrix, right?
Exactly. Urgent and important. Important but not urgent. Urgent but not important. And then, of course, the things that are neither urgent nor important.
And it's so easy to get caught up in the urgent stuff, right? Like emails, deadlines, those things that feel like they need to be dealt with right this second.
Totally. But Covey would say that those things might not actually be moving us closer to our goals.
It's like that saying, being busy is a form of laziness.
Right. We need to be intentional with our time and make sure we're making time for the important stuff, even when it's not urgent.
So that could be things like working on that passion project, spending quality time with loved ones, taking care of our health, those things that are important but often get pushed aside.
Exactly. It's about being proactive, planning ahead, and making sure we're making time for the things that truly matter.
This reminds me of something you said earlier about how a lot of this comes down to mindset. It's not just about managing our time, it's about managing our minds too.
Absolutely. It's about being intentional with our thoughts, our energy, and our focus.
So we've got to be mindful of those mental paradigms. Remember to take care of the goose and keep our eyes on the prize, that end goal. Phew, it's a lot to keep in mind.
It is, but it's worth it. These habits build on each other.
It's a journey, not a destination, right?
Exactly. And speaking of journeys, the next set of habits takes us into the realm of relationships.
Okay, so we've covered the personal. Now we're moving into the interpersonal. Let's talk about those public victory habits. Starting with habit 4, think win-win.
Ah, yes. This one's all about shifting from a mindset of competition to a mindset of collaboration.
Okay, so tell me more about this win-win philosophy. How do we actually apply that in our relationships and interactions with others?
So imagine you're like cutting a pie, right? And there's only one piece of pie left.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. It's a classic negotiation standoff.
Exactly. So in a win-lose situation, one person grabs that last slice and the other person gets nothing.
But Covey is saying there's a better way.
Right. Think win-win is about finding a way to expand the pie, Maybe bake another one. So everyone gets a slice and everyone feels good about it.
I love that. So it's not about compromise where each person gets a little bit of what they want. It's about finding a solution that truly benefits everyone involved.
Exactly. It's about shifting from that scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset, believing that there's enough for everyone to succeed.
That makes so much sense, but it can be challenging, right? Especially when you're dealing with people who are stuck in that win-lose mentality.
Totally. It takes practice, patience, and a willingness to really listen to and understand the other person's perspective.
Which brings us to habit 5. Seek first to understand, than to be understood.
Ah, yes. This one's huge. It's about putting aside our own agendas for a moment and really trying to see the world through the other person's eyes.
It's so easy to jump into problem-solving mode or start formulating our response before we even fully understand where the other person's coming from.
Totally. We're all guilty of that sometimes.
Okay, maybe more than sometimes. But how do we actually do that? How do we become better listeners, more empathetic in our interactions with others?
Covey talks about this idea of empathic listening. It's not just about hearing the words. It's about really trying to understand the feelings and the meaning behind those words.
So it's about listening with our hearts as well as our heads.
Exactly. It's about trying to see the world from their perspective, to feel what they're feeling.
That takes a lot of effort, especially in today's world where there are so many distractions.
It does, but it's so worth it. When we feel truly heard and understood, it creates this amazing connection, this foundation of trust.
And from that foundation of trust, we can start to have more open and honest conversations, right?
Exactly. And that's when the magic happens. That's when we can start to tap into the power of synergy, which is habit 6.
Synergy. Now, that's a word that gets thrown around a lot. What does Covey mean by synergy?
It's like 1 + 1 = 3, or maybe even 5. It's the idea that when people with different perspectives and ideas come together, they can create something truly extraordinary, something that wouldn't be possible alone.
So it's about recognizing that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
Exactly. It's about valuing those differences, those unique perspectives, and then finding ways to leverage them to create something new and innovative.
Do you have any examples of synergy in action? From
Right.
your own life or from Covey's work?
Oh, absolutely. Covey talks about this one time he was teaching a college course, and he decided to experiment with synergy.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What did he do?
Instead of having students just deliver their presentations one after another, he encouraged them to build on each other's ideas.
Oh, that's interesting. So it was more like a conversation than a lecture.
Exactly. And the energy in the room just exploded. Students were bouncing ideas off of each other, challenging each other's assumptions, and coming up with these amazing new insights.
Wow, that sounds like a truly synergistic experience.
It was. And the best part was, by the end of the class, the students had a much deeper understanding of the material than they ever would have had if they had just stuck to their individual presentations.
That's incredible. It really highlights the power of collaboration and how important it is to create a space where people feel comfortable sharing their ideas and building on each other's thoughts.
Absolutely. Synergy thrives in an environment of trust, respect, and open communication.
It makes you realize that sometimes the most brilliant ideas emerge from those unexpected collisions of thought.
Exactly. And that brings us to the final habit. Habit 7. Sharpen the saw.
Ah, yes. This was all about self-care, right? Taking care of ourselves so we can show up as our best selves in all areas of our lives.
You got it. It's about recognizing that we can't pour from an empty cup. We need to take care of our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being.
It's about making ourselves a priority, not an afterthought.
Exactly. Think of it like this. If you're constantly using a saw to cut wood, eventually that saw is going to get dull, right?
Okay, that makes sense.
It won't be as effective. It might even break. So we need to take the time to sharpen the saw, to renew ourselves so we can keep going.
So how do we actually sharpen the saw? What does that look like in practice?
Well, Covey talks about 4 key dimensions of renewal: physical, spiritual, mental, and social, emotional. It's about finding balance in all areas of our lives.
So it's not just about going for a run or eating a salad. It's about nurturing all aspects of ourselves.
Exactly. It's about finding those activities that energize us, inspire us, and help us feel more connected to ourselves and the world around us.
So that could be things like spending time in nature, meditating, learning new things, nurturing our relationships.
Exactly. It's about making time for those things that make us feel alive, that fill our cups so we can, in turn, fill the cups of others.
I love that. It's about recognizing that self-care isn't selfish, it's essential.
Absolutely. When we take care of ourselves, we're better equipped to handle stress, to show up for others, and to make a positive impact on the world.
This has been an incredible deep dive.
Hi.
We've covered so much ground, from paradigms and principles to habits and actions.
It's amazing how it all ties together, right?
It really is. Covey's 7 Habits provide such a practical and timeless framework for living a more effective, fulfilling, and meaningful life. It's about becoming more self-aware, taking responsibility for our choices, and focusing on those things that truly matter.
It's about creating a life of intention, integrity, and impact.
It's a journey of continuous learning and growth. And it all starts with that first step, that decision to embrace these principles and put them into practice.
And remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about progress.
It's about showing up every day with a commitment to becoming the best versions of ourselves.
And as we continue to learn, grow, and strive for effectiveness in all areas of our lives, we inspire others to do the same, creating a ripple effect of positive change that extends far beyond ourselves.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the 7 habits of highly effective people, we want to leave you with this invitation. Take some time to reflect on these principles, to identify those areas where you'd like to grow, and then start taking those small, consistent steps towards creating a life that's truly aligned with your values and your vision.
Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
So take that first step today, and then keep moving forward one habit at a time.